I was visiting the city of Murmansk in the very far north of the country. I was staying in a homestay, and on the morning of my departure, a friend of the man I was staying with came to see him, or was it more like came to see me, and he said, before I leave, I must try a local delicacy. So I thought, okay, I'm in a bit of a hurry, but whatever, be interesting to try a local delicacy in Murmansk. He said we had to go to the local food market to try a homemade one. So we got a bus into town and found the market, and there's lots of little babushkas there selling homemade stuff, and he was asking around each one where we can find this thing. It seemed quite a delicacy because it wasn't easy to find, but we eventually found it. It seems there was actually quite a lot of them, all packed into a barrel. He bought one for me and instructed me to eat it straight away, I guess because he wanted to see the look of delight on my face. It appeared to be something already familiar to me, and when I bit into it, I realised that the thing we'd been searching all around the town for was in fact a gherkin. I was taking quite a long train journey from Moscow to Omsk in Siberia, and it was going to take a couple of days, so I thought I'd break the journey at the halfway point, which happened to be the small town of Glazov in the Republic of Udmurtia. I'd only been walking around the town for about 5 minutes when a man approached me, and I thought he probably just wanted a cigarette. However, it turns out he actually wanted something a little bit more than that. He wanted me to marry his daughter. I thanked him for the very kind offer, but explained to him that I didn't live in the town, I was just passing through, so it wouldn't really be practical. But, however, in true Russian style, he wouldn't take no for an answer. He kept on trying to persuade me, and I had to keep on trying to weasel my way out of it. After about 5 minutes, he realised he wasn't quite convincing me enough, so he pulled out his secret weapon, which was his Nokia 3310, and he rang somebody up and handed me the phone. Rather awkwardly, it turned out to be his daughter, and I had to explain to her in my rather broken Russian, she didn't speak any English, that her father was trying to propose we married. Now, I thought it was ridiculous, but it seemed that, amazingly, she was quite open to the idea. After the phone call, I explained to the father that I really must be getting on my way. Fearing that his slippery catch was about to escape from him, he grabbed onto my arm and walked with me. 5 minutes later, he was still firmly holding on to me. He saw somebody he knew in the shop window, so told me just to wait for a few seconds while he said hello to the person. Now, he was only a few seconds as well, but that was enough for me to mount an escape. The building right next to the shop happened to be a hotel, which was handy, so I ran in there saying hello to the receptionist and noticed that there was a back door, so I headed into the back door. However, it turned out just to be a closed off courtyard, and when I went to go back inside the hotel again, I saw him inside asking the receptionist if she had seen me. Panicking somewhat, I noticed another door further along the courtyard, so I ran to there, which turned out to be the hotel kitchen. So I ran through the kitchen, ran through the restaurant, and ran away from there as soon as I could. I spent the rest of the day in Glazov being absolutely terrified that he was going to try and come and hunt me down, because he did seem the persistent type, and I was looking over my shoulder the whole time, worrying that the big hand might land on me at any moment. It was a huge relief when I got back to the train station in one piece and took my train out of the city. And I've never been back to Glazov since. Quite frankly, I'm too scared to. Okay, let me just have a quick word with my viewers in Russia. If this doesn't apply to you, then fast forward for 30 seconds now. Так, ребята, у меня вышла книга.
Это коллекция легких коротких рассказов о трудностях жизни иностранца в России. Она называется «Джентльмен неудачи», и чтобы отпраздновать выпуск, я раздаю 5 копий первым 5 людям, которые напишут «Я бы хотел книгу» в комментариях. Удачи!
A cup of tea and a snack for 40 rubles. That's like 40 pence. What do you get for 40 pence these days? I was in a small town not that far from Moscow, and I was having dinner in a café come restaurant, and I thought I'd treat myself to a dessert. I saw the desserts on the menu and picked out a banana split. Firstly, because I hadn't had one for ages, and secondly, because it is so simple that nothing could go wrong.
However, a few minutes later, the waitress came out of the kitchen and told me that actually something had gone wrong. They were out of one of the ingredients. Now, if it had been the sprinkled nuts that goes on top or the chocolate sauce, well then, no big deal. If it was the whipped cream or ice cream, then you'd be most disappointed. But what if I told you that the missing ingredient of a banana split was in fact the banana? Well then you probably wouldn't believe it, would you? But fear not, because I could have it with oranges instead.